On February 13, 1992, Iraqi artist Shakir Hassan Al Said stood among his latest works in a solo exhibition at Abdul Hamid Shuman Foundation in Amman. He was giving a lecture using a slide projector to showcase his artwork through 35mm slides he brought with him from Baghdad. Yet he voiced his discontent with the quality of the slides. They failed to convey the meticulous details of his works and the rich visual references stemming from Baghdad's walls.
الواقع استخدمت في الفن العراقي من أوائل الأستاذ إسماعيل.
Seeking validation for some of his ideas, Shakir asked, "Isn't this right, Ismail?" The camera then panned to Ismail Fattah Turk, a prominent Iraqi artist and key figure in the Baghdad Modern Art Group, whose presence underscored the importance of this lecture. From 1990 to 1992, Shakir served as an art consultant for the foundation, curating series of meetings that brought together Iraqi, Palestinian, and Jordanian artists and critics to discuss their perspectives on art. These programs became foundational for what would later evolve into Darat al Funun, inaugurated in 1993 as a vibrant home for the Arab arts. The meetings catered to a diverse audience: artists, intellectuals, academics, collectors, and even young, untrained viewers, facilitating fruitful discussions about art. The public programs were in tandem with geographically themed Arab art exhibitions, offering attendees not only the chance to see the works of modern Arab artists, but also to engage directly with them, ask them questions, share insights with these artists. Another key figure in this narrative is the late Marwan Kassab-Bachi. He had numerous interactions with the Dara audience as he made a celebrated return to the Arab world through a series of exhibitions, workshops, and summer academies facilitated by Darat al Funun. One of his landmark public events took place on November 20th, 1996, in conversation with writer Abdulrahman Munif. Abdulrahman Munif, a name well known in the literary circles, shared his reflections on art and on his journey.
وإذا كنت بدافع الفضول والاكتشاف قد أقمت صلة بالفن التشكيلي في بغداد من خلال متابعة المعارض، فلم أفكر بالتعرف على الفنانين، كنت أراهم من بعد لأن عالمهم بمقدار ما هو مغرم فإنه خطر، ولذلك كانت بيننا مسافة. أتذكر في بغداد وأثناء الزيارات لأقارب كانوا يسكنون غير بعيد عن بيت جواد سليم أنني كنت أتمهل كثيرا وأنا أسير بمحاذاة بيت ذلك الفنان. قد أفعل ذلك كله كي أسترق النظر عبر النوافذ إلى اللوحات المعلقة على الجدران، وأيضا لأتأمل المنحوتات المكتملة وتلك التي في طور العمل المتناثرة في الحديقة الفسيحة. فإذا صادف وكانت زيارتي أثناء الليل أصبح أكثر جرأة مني في النهار، إذ لا أقبل السير فقط، كنت أتوقف أتملى أقارن، وكانت اللوحات تبدو لي في الليل أجمل أكثر إشراقا، خاصة من خلال الإضاءة التي تعرف كيف تنطق اللوحة، كيف تركز ثم تبرز نقاط قوتها.
Out of curiosity, I established links with some art in Baghdad by attending exhibitions. However, I have never attempted to meet their artists. I used to watch the art from afar. That world was as dangerous as it was tempting. There was a distance between us. I would linger while walking alongside Jawad Salim's house, peeking through the windows at the paintings and unfinished sculptures. At night, I would stop to observe the works. They appeared more beautiful in the dark, especially when the lights emphasized their intricate details. Munif's insights reveal a significant barrier, not between him and the artworks, but with their creators or the institutions that hosted them. This solitary relationship gave him the freedom to interpret the pieces on his terms. Yet, this perception could be disrupted if someone claimed to know the intended meaning of the work whether it was the artist, the hosting institution, or the audience members. As the moderator wrapped up Munif's introduction, he encouraged questions from the audience, setting a limit on each to keep the dialogue flowing.
اتاحت لي الفرصة كي أتعرف على الفنان مروان ويستمع إلى قراءة الروائي عبد الرحمن منيف. تجربة الفنان مروان جيدة ومتطورة ضمن الأساس الأسلوبي. لقد استطاع أن يؤسس أسلوب خاص ومن نمط فني، ولكنني أعتقد أن الفنان مروان لم يقدم إنجازات على صعيد الأفكار أو المضمون، ذلك لأن اللوحة لم تعد فقط تقنيات جمالية. لو رأينا لهذا المعرض وأنا سبق رأيت أعمال الفنان وكان لي رأي آخر، أن الفنان مروان يعزف على ثيمة واحدة في كل أعماله. ولو قرأت من هذا المعرض رأيت من الإنسان المسبوق تحت ظروف اقتصادية واجتماعية أو الإنسان المسبوق من ظروف بيئية.
A man from the audience stood up, and in an Iraqi accent, he thanked the institution and the lecturers, praised the artworks briefly, and then expressed his opinion. Marwan has not made achievements at the level of content because painting is no longer just about techniques. I checked the exhibited works and I have another opinion. Marwan focuses on one theme, that of the crushed or oppressed human. Despite the diversity of subjects he captured from reality, the great artist did not diversify his theme. The man was taking some time maneuvering an acknowledgement of Marwan's artistic abilities while also critiquing them when two audience members signaled to the moderator, indicating that the question has exceeded the limit. Exercising their power over the speaking audience, the sitting audience interrupted the critic, who had to hastily conclude with a somewhat negative comment about the structure of the paintings. Someone in the audience objected, "Are there rules for such and such?" Marwan responded by redirecting the question to the questioner. He accepted to answer a few more questions from the audience, and the talk concluded. Darat al Funun organized another meeting with Marwan on April 18, 1998. This time the guest was the former director of a museum in Berlin who spoke fondly of Marwan's works displayed in the hall. The audience asked about Marwan's relationship with Berlin, education, settling there. Then a woman with a Lebanese accent addressed Marwan.
درست في جامعة دمشق اللغة العربية. شو اللي خليك بعدين تروح تدرس رسم؟ بعدين درست رسم.
لا حسبي بديت لما نطلع وبتعرف نحن بلادنا في عسكرية. واستغرب ما أنا عسكرية أحسن. بس المشكلة إنه ما في مستقبل
You studied Arabic language at Damascus University. What made you study painting afterwards? He replied, "There is compulsory military training in our country." She hurriedly interrupted, "Ah, you escaped from the military." He replied, "I'm a better soldier," meaning that his artistic work equals, if not surpasses, the importance of militant work.
وبعدين أنا مثلا كنت أول مرة بسمع عنك فقالوا لي عامل عنه كتاب عبد الرحمن منيف وشاعر ألميس يعني فشو ارتباط مع الأدباء العرب يعني كون ظاهرة لكتبوا عنك بس إنه لابد في شعر كتير قصدي لابد في شعر كتير في بيت لطلع هيك ففي ارتباط كمان معه بالشعر فبتقدر تحكي لنا عن هيك شوي؟
The woman said, "This is my first time hearing of you. They told me Abdurrahman Munif wrote a book about you and Adonis wrote some poetry. For those literary figures to write something about you, you had to be a phenomenon. What is your connection with the Arab writers?" Marwan replied with one sentence, "It's love." This conversation drew my attention to how much an artist finds it's essential to speak in detail and with whom. I also asked if he needed to talk in the presence of his artwork, and while looking at his papers in his archive, I'm asking, what about in the presence of his papers? Rafa Nasiri accepted the teaching position at Yarmouk University in Irbid, north of Jordan, beginning in September 1991. He moved with his partner, May Mudaffar, to live between Amman and Irbid, a system that, while practical, did not replicate the vibrant art scene they had left in Iraq. However, Amman itself was undergoing significant social and intellectual changes. The Schumann Foundation, for instance, actively hosted Iraqi artists, including Rafa, whose unpublished diaries provide a detailed assessment of his observations on Jordan's art scene and the social, economic, and environmental conditions he encountered upon arrival. On February 20th, 1992, Rafa noted his participation in a panel at the Schumann Foundation organized by Shakir Hassan Al Said. He wrote, "The historical review was insightful. Each participant shared their unique experiences and perspectives. Shakir presented on the Baghdad group, Ali Talib on the innovative group, and I on the New Vision group."
عادة الرسامين يعني يعتمدون على المصادر البصرية المختلفة، لكن أساسها هي دائما الطبيعة والكائنات الحية. خارج هذا أو هذه أو هذين المصدرين.
The panels and lectures constituted an informal educational space initiated by the art institution aimed at cultivating the knowledge of the participants while offering insight into featured artworks. These lectures were received with varying levels of engagement depending on the audience's expertise. Rafa, sometimes a speaker, was also frequently a member of the audience. He noted occasional issues such as the fading images on 35mm slides. May's lecture on abstraction in Islamic art at the Schumann Foundation, attendance was sparse due to poor weather, raining since morning, but more people trickled in as the event progressed. The lecture itself was insightful, with May offering a critical perspective on abstraction and art in general. However, the slide quality did not match the caliber of her lecture.
كان اللقاء في ليلة ماطرة وفي مرسمه.
Additional factors beyond slides or recordings, such as weather and crowd dynamics, were crucial to the event's success and significantly impacted audience attendance, reflecting how intangible factors, accumulating, obstructing, and influencing, can shape the archival record of events and figures of study. Such intangible factors presented in these unpublished diaries reveal not only age-based affinities, but also shared experiences of environmental and logistical challenges that inform an archive of public programs. On May 30th, 1992, Rafa wrote, "At the Professionals Syndicates Complex, a lecture by Dr. Abdulrahman Munif drew an immense crowd. At the end of the lecture, we gathered among Irbid's intellectuals, and after a brief discussion, Munif returned to Amman. The event there was so crowded that we couldn't even enter, with lines stretching out to the street." While video recordings of events like those featuring Munif and Marwan capture the audience within the venue, Rafa's diaries provide insight into those unable to enter. an invisible audience not reflected in official records. This observation brings to light how the institution's invitation of a well-known writer recognizable to a broad audience enhanced visibility for Marwan's work, despite his limited renown in Jordan and the wider Arab world at the time. Through such events, the institution built awareness and cultivated an audience capable of engaging with creative practices, though to varying degrees. For instance, Rafa, a seasoned artist himself, admired Shakir Hassan Al Said's artworks, but found his theories abstract and detached from the essence of the paintings. This distinction between artwork and theory indicates how different members of the audience, depending on their background and expertise, might selectively engage with certain aspects of the work. This unvoiced critique, in turn, reflects the boundaries of expression in such institutional contexts where respect, collegiality, or strategic discretion may limit what is openly discussed. This nuanced silence, as preserved in Rafa's account, becomes part of the archival record, revealing not just what was shared, but what was strategically withheld, adding another layer to our understanding of audience interaction and authority in public events.